Today we are covering designing Microsoft Azure infrastructure solutions. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, you have an Azure subscription that contains an Azure SQL database. You are evaluating whether to use Azure reservations on the Azure SQL database. Which tools should you use to estimate the potential savings? Option A. The Purchase Reservations blade in the Azure portal. Option B. The Advisor blade in the Azure portal. Option C. The SQL database blade in the Azure portal. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, you are designing an Azure solution for a company that has 4 departments. Each department will deploy several Azure App Services and Azure SQL databases. You need to recommend a solution to report the cost for each department to deploy the app services and the databases. The solution must provide a consolidated view for cost reporting that displays cost broken down by department. Solution: create a separate resource group for each department. Place the resources for each department in its respective resource group. Does this meet the goal? Options are yes or no. Correct answer is no. Next question is, a company needs a data store created in Azure for an application. Below are the key requirements for the data store. Ability to store JSON-based items. Ability to use SQL-like queries on the data store. Ability to provide low latency access to the data items. Which of the following would you consider as the data store? Option A. Azure Blob Storage. Option B. Azure Cosmos DB. Option C. Azure HD Insight. Option D. Azure Redis. Correct answer is option B. Next question is, you are designing an Azure Cosmos DB solution that will host multiple variable replicas in multiple Azure regions. You need to recommend the strongest database consistency level for the design. The solution must meet the following requirements. Provide a latency-based service level agreement SLA for writes. Support multiple regions. Which consistency level should you recommend? Option A. Bounded staleness. Option B. Strong. Option C. Session. Option D. Consistent prefix. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, you are designing a solution that will include containerized applications running in an Azure Kubernetes Service AKS cluster. You need to recommend a load balancing solution for HTTP's traffic. The solution must meet the following requirements. Automatically configure load balancing rules as the applications are deployed to the cluster. Support Azure Web Application Firewall (WAF). Support cookie-based affinity. Support URL routing. What should you include in the recommendation? Option A. An NGINX ingress controller. Option B. Application Gateway Ingress Controller AGIC. Option C. An HTTP Application Routing Ingress Controller. Option D. The Kubernetes Load Balancer Service. Correct answer is option B. Next question is, you have an Azure Data Lake storage account that contains 1010 MB CSV files and an Azure Synapse Analytics dedicated SQL pool named SQL1. You need to load the files to SQL1. The solution must meet the following requirements: maximize data load performance, eliminate the need to define external tables before the data loads. What should you use? Option A, the copy statement. Option B, polybase. Option C, BCP. Option D, the SQL bulk copy object. Correct answer is option B. Next question is, you have an on-premises network to which you deploy a virtual appliance. You plan to deploy several Azure virtual machines and connect the on-premises network to Azure by using a site-to-site connection. All network traffic that will be directed from the Azure virtual machines to a specific subnet must flow through the virtual appliance. You need to recommend solutions to manage network traffic. Which two options should you recommend? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Option A, configure Azure Traffic Manager. Option B, implement an Azure Virtual Network. Option C, implement Azure Express Route. Option D, configure a routing table. Correct answer is option C and option D.